Dear students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. Today we are going to discuss on nuclear energy, mainly focusing on the nuclear fission. What is nuclear fission? It is the splitting of heavy nuclei into the lighter one and release of huge amount of energy. Most of the nuclear energy production is based on the nuclear fission. For this, we need a nuclear fuel, and most commonly this fissile material is uranium. We have heard about nuclear energy or nuclear deal in the newspapers. It has very good advantage, like it's the cleanest fuel. But at the same time, it is on the controversy, like it produces some radioactive waste. So in this module, we are going to see what is nuclear fission, what is the principle of nuclear fission, basically the chain reactions, how it happens, what is nuclear power plant, what are the components of nuclear power plant, what are the components of nuclear reactors, what are the types of nuclear power plants, especially this PWR, the pressurized water plant and boiled water plant. And finally, we will see the advantages as well as disadvantages of this nuclear energy, basically based on the nuclear fission. So, nuclear reactions are of two types, nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. The nuclear fission is a nuclear reaction or a radioactive decay process in which nucleus of an atom splits into smaller nuclei. Due to the decay of radioactive nuclei, this process often produces free neutrons and gamma radiations and releases a significant amount of energy by the exothermic reactions as both electromagnetic radiation and kinetic energy of the fragments. Fission is a form of nuclear transmutation. Transmutation means it is the artificial method of transforming one isotope into another isotope, because the resulting particles are not the same element as the original atom. Fission can take place in any of the heavy nuclei after the capture of a neutron. Low energy neutrons, which are known as low or thermal neutrons, can cause fission only in those isotopes of uranium and plutonium whose nuclei having odd numbers of neutrons. That is like uranium-233, uranium-235, plutonium-239. Thermal fission may also take place in some other transuranic elements or isotopes whose nuclei carry odd number of neutrons. For nuclei bearing an even number of neutrons, fission can only happen if the incident neutron have energy around 1 million electron volt, that is 1 MeV and greater. The two nuclei produced are very often of comparable but slightly different in sizes, typically with a mass ratio of products of nearly 3:2. For common fissile isotopes, most of the fissions are binary fissions generating two charged particles, but occasionally 2 to 4 times per 1000 events, 3 positively charged particles are produced in ternary fission. The smallest of these particles in ternary process ranges in size from a proton to an argon nucleus. Aside from nuclear fission induced by a neutron, a natural form of spontaneous radioactive decay is referred to as spontaneous fission and occurs primarily in very high mass number isotopes. Spontaneous fission was discovered in 1940 by Fyodorov, Petrov and Kurchatov in Moscow, when they decided to confirm that without bombardment by neutrons, the fission rate of uranium was negligible. The nuclear fission has the vast potential of energy for nuclear power, that is for the electricity production, and rides the nuclear weapon explosion. Both uses are possible because specific substances called nuclear fuels undergo fission when battered by fission neutrons and in turn release neutrons when they break apart. That brings a self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction that releases a significant amount of energy at a controlled rate in a nuclear reactor or a very quick and uncontrolled rate in a nuclear weapon. We will see what these are in the coming slides. Let's first see the discovery of nuclear fission. The discovery of nuclear fission appeared in 1938 in the buildings of Kaiser Wilhelm Society for Chemistry. In 1917, Rutherford was able to perform transmutation of nitrogen into oxygen using alpha particles directed at nitrogen. That was the first observation of a nuclear reaction in which particles from one decay are used to transform another atomic nuclei. In 1932, a fully artificial nuclear reaction and nuclear transmutation were concluded by Ernest Walton and John Cockcroft, who applied artificially accelerated protons against lithium-7 to split this nucleus into two alpha particles. This process was popularly known as splitting the atom. Although it was not the modern nuclear fission reaction, James Chadwick was discovered the neutron in 1932. Fermi and his colleagues studied the results of bombarding uranium with neutron in 1934. The nuclear fission of heavy elements was identified on December 1938 by German Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann and described theoretically in 1939 by Lise Meitner and Otto Robert Frisch. Nuclear fission occurs when a neutron hits with a nucleus of a large atom such as uranium and is absorbed into it, causing the nucleus to become unstable and thus break down into two smaller and more stable atoms with the release of more neutrons and an enormous amount of energy. Nuclear fission can happen naturally, as I told you, with the spontaneous decay of radioactive material, or it can be induced by bombarding the fuel consisting of fissionable atoms with neutrons. Neutrons, which are electrically neutral, can penetrate relatively unhampered into the atomic nucleus and are used as bullets to initiate the fission. The mass and energy changes in nuclear fission reactions are significant. For example, the energy released from the nuclear fission of 1 kilogram of uranium is equivalent to the energy released during the combustion of 4 billion kilograms of coal. Look into the details of the principle of nuclear fission. When uranium-235 or fissionable isotopes capture a neutron, the total energy is distributed among the nucleons, that is, among the protons and neutrons, which are present in the compound nucleus. These nuclei are relatively unstable and it is likely to break into two fragments of near about half the mass. Production of these fission fragments is followed almost immediately by the emission of some neutrons, which I told you earlier, commonly 2 or 3, on an average 2.45, which facilitate the chain reaction to be sustained. About 85% of energy released is initially the kinetic energy of the fission fragments. The balance of the power comes from gamma rays emitted during or quickly following the fission process and from the kinetic energy of the neutrons. The immediate neutrons are called prompt neutrons, and there is a small portion of delayed neutrons, as these are linked with the radioactive decay of certain fission products. The highest delayed neutron group has a half-life of nearly 56 seconds. The number of neutrons and the particular fission products from any fission are guided by statistical probability, in that precise breakup of a single nucleus cannot be predicted. Nonetheless, conservation laws require the total number of nucleons and the total energy to be conserved during the reaction. The fission reaction in uranium-235 creates fission products like barium, krypton, strontium, cesium, iridium and xenon with atomic masses distributed nearly 95 and 135. You can see the following reaction which represent typical fissionable products, where uranium-235 with the bombardment of neutron produces barium-144, barium-141, zirconium-94, krypton, tellurium, along with the 2 or 3 neutrons with emission of energy in million electron volts. So, in the above reactions, the number of nucleons is balanced. The total binding energy released in nuclear fission reaction of an atomic nucleus varies with the precise breakup. Nearly about 6% of the heat produced in the reactor core originates from radioactive decay of fission products and transuranic elements composed by neutron capture. That must be allowed for when the reactor is shut down, since heat generation continues after fission stops. Even after 1 year, commonly used fuel generates about 10 kilowatt of decay heat per ton decreasing to about 1 kilowatt per ton after 10 years. Nuclear chain reactions are series of nuclear fissions, each reaction initiated by a neutron, as I told you. This process may be controlled or uncontrolled. It is controlled in the case of nuclear power and uncontrolled in the case of nuclear weapons. If each neutron releases 2 more neutrons, then number of fissions doubles each generation. You can see in the picture or in the figure the first generation to fourth generation. In that case, in 10 generation there is 1024 fission, and in 80 generation it has about 6 into 10 to the power 23, that is a more fissions. The energy released from the kinetic energy of each fission reaction is nearly 200 million electron volt, which includes 165 million electron volt from fission and 6 million electron volt from neutrons. 7 million electron volt from gamma rays, 7 million electron volt from energy from the fission product, 6 MeV from gamma rays and 9 MeV from antineutrinos from the fission products. There is a term critical mass. It is the effective multiplication factor, which is denoted by K and is defined as ratio of the number of neutrons formed by fission in one generation to the number in the preceding generation. It refers to the conditions of the population of neutrons within the reactor core. This is not same as the average numbers of neutrons produced by fission reaction, as some neutrons are absorbed in non-fission reactions and others escape from the system without being absorbed. The way in which fission chain reaction proceeds depends on the value of K. If the value of K is less than 1, that is subcriticality, there is no chain reaction occurs. External neutrons may start a reaction, but it dies out fairly after some time. If the K is 1, it is criticality. Every fission causes on average 1 more and the reaction proceeds at a steady state. This is the operating state of an energy reactor. If the K is greater than 1, that is supercriticality, with a much higher concentration of fissile material, each fission causes K more fission and the number of neutrons escalates exponentially in an uncontrollable chain reaction. In the case of atom bomb, this occurs. Let's see the electricity generation over the globe by different sources. You can see in this pie diagram, the contribution of nuclear fission is around 10.9%. Now, what is nuclear power plant? We cannot think anything without the electricity. So, the demand of the electricity rapidly increases with our need. The most important feature of a nuclear power plant is it can produce a huge amount of electrical energy from relatively small amount of nuclear fuel as compared to the conventional thermal power plants. A nuclear power plant or a power station is a thermal power station in which the heat source is a nuclear reactor. As per International Atomic Energy Agency report, there are 449 nuclear power reactors in operating in 31 countries. Let's see what are the components of a nuclear power plant. It includes nuclear reactor, heat exchanger, steam turbine, alternator and a condenser. A nuclear reactor is a special apparatus used to perform nuclear fission. It's a protective shield covers the reactor since the nuclear fission is radioactive. This reactor consists of fuel rods, control rods and moderator. A fuel rod contains small round fuel pellets which are uranium pellets. Control rods are of cadmium which absorb neutrons, which are inserted into the reactor and moved in or out to control the reaction. The moderator used is commonly the graphite rods or the coolant itself. Moderator slows down the neutrons before they bombarded on the fuel rods. There are 3 terms: fissile material, fertile material and fissionable material. Fissile materials are those fissionable substances which are capable of continuing a chain reaction when hit by neutrons with low kinetic energy. For example, the most valuable fissile material used are uranium-233, uranium-235 and plutonium-239, which are having the odd number of neutrons. The fertile materials are isotopes which are able of becoming fissile by capturing fast moving neutrons, which are followed by the radioactive decay. For example, uranium-238, plutonium-240 and thorium-232. Fissionable materials are those whose atoms can undergo induced nuclear fission when heating by a free neutron. Fertile materials require a fast-moving neutron to initiate fission, while fissile materials need a slow-moving neutron for fission. Fissionable materials are not necessarily fissile. Uranium-238 is fissionable and fertile but not fissile. The nuclear fission reactions start when isotopes are hit by either high energy, that is fast moving neutrons, or thermal, which is slow moving neutrons at the optimum speed. As I told you, uranium-235 and plutonium-239 are fissionable isotopes. Uranium-235 is the naturally occurring fissionable isotope and plutonium-239 can be produced by breeding from uranium-238. Uranium-238 and thorium-232 are chief naturally occurring fertile isotopes. Uranium-238 makes up 99.3% of natural uranium is not fissionable by slow neutrons. It has little probability for spontaneous fission and also a small chance of fission when bombarded with fast neutrons. So, it is not useful as a nuclear fuel source as directly. Thorium-232 is fissionable, so could used as nuclear fuel like uranium-235. Plutonium-241 are also fissile material. Let's see what are the types of nuclear reactors. Two types of nuclear reactors are widely used: pressurized water reactor, in short PWR, and boiling water reactor, in short BWR. This is the figure of boiling water reactor. In this type of reactor, only one coolant loop is present. The water is allowed to boil in the reactor. The steam is generated as it heads out of the reactor and then flows through the steam turbine. The major disadvantage of this type is that the coolant water comes in direct contact with fuel rods as well as the turbine. So, there is a possibility that radioactive material could be placed on the turbine. The second type, which is common one, that is PWR, pressurized water reactor. This figure represents the PWR. This type of reactor uses water as coolant. The coolant is kept at very high pressure so that it does not boil. The heated water is transferred through heat exchanger where water from secondary coolant loop is converted into steam. Thus, secondary loop is completely free from radioactive stuff. In a PWR, the coolant water itself acts as a moderator. Due to these advantages, pressurized water reactors are most commonly used. Coming to the heat exchanger. In the heat exchanger, the primary coolant transfers heat to the secondary coolant. Thus, water from secondary loop is converted into steam. The primary system and secondary system are closed loop and they are never allowed to mix up with each other. Thus, heat exchanger helps in keeping secondary system free from radioactive stuff. Heat exchanger is absent in the case of boiling water reactor. Steam turbines. Generated steam is passed through a steam turbine which runs due to the pressure of the steam. As the steam is passed through the turbine blades, the pressure of steam gradually decreases and it expands in volume. The steam turbine is coupled to an alternator through a rotating shaft. Alternator. The steam turbine rotates the shaft of an alternator, thus generating electrical energy. Electrical output of the alternator is delivered to a step-up transformer to transfer it over the distances. The steam coming out of the turbine after it has done its work is then converted back into water in a condenser. The steam is cooled by passing it through a third cold water loop. Let's see the energy released by the nuclear fission. So, we have seen that the only naturally occurring isotope in which fission can be induced by thermal neutron is uranium-235, which splits into barium-141 and krypton-92 and emits excess free neutrons. When nucleus fission occurs, it breaks into several smaller fragments. These fragments are about half to half the original mass. 2 or 3 neutrons are also released. The sum of the masses of these particles is less than the original mass. This missing mass, near about 0.1% of the original mass, has been transformed into energy according to Einstein's equation. If a massive nucleus such as uranium-235 breaks apart, then there will be a net yield of energy because the sum of masses of fragments will be less than the mass of uranium nucleus. If the mass of particles is equivalent to or greater than that of iron at the peak of binding energy curve, then the nuclear particles will be more tightly bound than they were in the uranium nucleus. And that reduction in mass comes off in the form of energy as per E is equal to mc square. The fission of uranium-235 in nuclear reactors is triggered by the absorption of a low energy neutron, which we have already termed as slow neutron or thermal neutron. The liberated neutron travels at speeds of about 10 million meters per second or about 3% of the speed of light. That is, speed of light is 3 into 10 to the power 8, so 3% of that. The characteristic time for a generation is roughly the time required to cross the diameter of the sphere of fissionable material. A critical mass of uranium is nearly the size of a baseball, which is 0.1 meters. So, this is the time of a chain reaction. This is about the time of chain reaction. Binding energy of reaction. The energy released at the atomic level can be measured from the binding energies of the parent and daughter atoms as presented in the table. You can see the number of nucleons, binding energy per nucleon, total binding energy and the fission energy release. We can control this nuclear fission. Critical mass K, we have already defined, is the ratio of number of neutrons formed in the fission in one generation to the number of neutrons in the preceding generation. If this ratio is less than 1, no reaction occurs or the reaction will lower down. If it is greater than 1, it becomes uncontrollable. We have seen that. The neutron absorbing rods are used to adjust the power output of a reactor during fission reaction. These typically use boron and cadmium. Both are strong neutron absorbers and are inserted among the fuel assemblies. The neutrons usually have too much kinetic energy. These fast neutrons are slowed through the use of a moderator, heavy water, ordinary water or graphite. When they are slightly withdrawn from their position at criticality, the number of neutrons available for ongoing fission exceeds unity and power level increases. The power reaches the desired level, the control rods are returned to the critical position and the power stabilizes. The capacity to control the chain reaction is entirely due to the presence of the small proportion of delayed neutron resulting from fission. Without these products, any change in the critical balance of the chain reaction would lead to virtually instantaneous and uncontrollable rise or fall in the neutron population. Now, we will see how much energy is liberated by the fission of one atom of uranium-235. Uranium-235 nuclide has a binding energy of approximately 1786 million electron volt. The total binding energy of the nuclides of barium and krypton, which are the product which remain after fission, amount to around 1952 million electron volt. So, the difference of 166 million electron volt corresponds to the energy discharged in the fission process. Apart from this, there will also be various small energy releases totaling nearly 33 million electron volt connected with the injection of the neutrons and another particle as well as beta and gamma radiation. Thus, the total energy liberated by the fission of one atom of uranium-235 is almost 200 million electron volt, that is 166 plus 33, which corresponds to 3.2 into 10 to the power minus 11 joules. The energy released from practical amounts of fuel can be calculated as one atom of uranium-235 weighs 235 atomic mass units, which is 3.92 into 10 to the power minus 25 kilogram. Thus, 1 kilogram of uranium-235 contains 1 by 235 AMU atoms, which is equal to 2.54 into 10 to the power 24 atoms. And the energy released from 1 kilogram of fuel is 3.2 into 10 to the power minus 11 multiplied by 2.54 into 10 to the power 24, which is equals to 8.1 into 10 to the power 30 joules. The mass consumed in the transformation is presented by E is equal to mc square. I told you earlier. From one atom of uranium-235, the mass of uranium converted into 200 million electron volt of energy is 3.56 into 10 to the power minus 28 kilogram, an almost insignificant amount. From the 1 kilogram of uranium-235 fuel consumed, the mass of uranium actually transformed into energy is 3.56 into 10 to the power minus 28 into 2.54 into 10 to the power 24, which equals 9.04 into 10 to the power minus 4 kilogram, that equals 0.9 grams. By contrast, the fission of one atom of uranium produces 10 million times the energy generated by the combustion of one atom of carbon from the coal. Only 0.6 grams of uranium-235 were consumed by the atomic bomb which devastated in Hiroshima in 1945. Let's see the Indian scenario. Nuclear power is the fourth largest source of electricity in India after thermal, hydroelectric and renewable sources of energy. As of 2016, India has 22 nuclear reactors in operation in 8 nuclear power plants having an installed capacity of 6,780 megawatt, which is 3.5% of the total installed base, and producing a total of 30,292 gigawatt hour of electricity, while 6 more reactors are under construction and are expected to generate an additional 4,300 megawatt. Large deposits of thorium in the form of monazite in beach sands and very modest reserves of low-grade uranium are the nuclear reserves in India. In March 2011, large deposits of uranium has been discovered in Tummalapalli belt and in the Bhima basin at Gogi in Karnataka by the Atomic Minerals Directorate for Exploration and Research of India. Coming to the advantages of nuclear power plants. Since the requirement of fuel is very small, the cost of fuel, transportation, storage, etc. is small. Nuclear power plant needs less space as compared to any other power station of the same size. For example, a 100 megawatt nuclear power station needs 38 to 40 acres of land, whereas the same capacity coal-based thermal power plant needs 120 to 130 acres of land. This type of power plant is very economical to produce large electric power. Nuclear power plant can be located near load center because bulk amount of fuel like water, coal is not required. Nuclear power is most economical to generate large capacities of power. It produces huge amount of energy in every nuclear fission process. Using a small amount of fuel, this plant produces large amount of electrical energy. This plant is very reliable. Since the large number of nuclear fuel is available in this world, a nuclear power plant can generate electrical energy thousands of years continuously. It is very neat and clean as compared to steam power plant. The operating cost is also low at this power plant, but it is not affected for higher load demand. Has its limitation. Initial installation cost is very high as compared to other power stations. Nuclear fuel is very much expensive and it is difficult to recover. Capital cost is higher in respect of the other power stations, as I told you. Good technical knowledge is required to operate such type of plant. The maintenance cost will also be higher to operate such plant. There is a chance to spread radioactive pollution from this type of plant. Nuclear reactor does not respond efficiently with the fluctuating load demand. So, it is not suited for varying the load. Cooling water requirement is twice than the coal-based steam power plant. These are the disadvantages. So, to summarize, students, today we have seen what is nuclear fission. It is the splitting of heavy atomic nuclei into smaller ones with the release of a huge amount of energy. We have seen the principle behind this nuclear fission. We have seen different materials like fissile material, fissionable material and fertile material. We have seen the different components of nuclear power plant: nuclear reactor, heat exchanger, steam turbine, alternator and condenser. We have also seen the nuclear reactor. Different parts of nuclear reactor: fuel rod, control rods and moderator are the most important ones. In the fuel rod, mostly we use uranium. We have seen different types of nuclear power plants, mainly two types: pressurized water reactor and boiled water reactor. In pressurized water reactor, the water is used as the coolant. Afterwards, we have seen the Indian scenario of nuclear energy. Though we have taken efforts in this area, but still little bit controversies are prevailing. We have also seen how much energy is released from one atom of uranium-235. It is capable of producing 10 million times energy than the combustion of one atom of carbon. We have seen the advantages of this energy by the fission, energy production by the nuclear fission, like it is the cleanest one and requires comparatively less space, while it has some limitation like the release of radioactive waste, installation cost and maintenance cost is high, and the technical know-how or the persons are required for the operation. In India, 22 nuclear reactors with a capacity of 6780 megawatt is under operation. So, in our country, nuclear energy is the fourth largest energy source for the production of electricity generation. Thank you.